Houseparty. The Pillsbury Houseparty, produced and transcribed in Hollywood, presented to you by Pillsbury, makers of those wonderful new Pillsbury cake mixes, and starring Art Linkletter.
Well, it's Pillsbury time again here in Southern California, where the very first breath of fall in the autumn is in the air today. A little chilly, but we have a wonderful warm audience. And among them, we may find today's winner of the weekly contest. This week, as you know, at the Pillsbury Houseparty, we're looking for the oldest father with a child under a year of age. You never can tell who we're going to find. So, fellas, let's circulate up and down the aisle and find some fathers who have a child under a year of age and who is perhaps 30 or 40 or 50 or 150. What is the oldest that we find out there? They're 33. 62. That's pretty good. Any older than 62? 90 what? No, that's his seat number back there. This is the man who's 62 coming up now on the stage. Wearing a little goatee? How do you do, sir? Nice to see you. I haven't seen one of those little chin whisker adornments for a long time.
That's on account of an accident that I had last night.
Oh, so you have a couple of scars there, so you wear a little mustache. What is your name, sir?
Owen Jensen.
And where do you come from, Owen?
I was originally come from Utah. I was born in Pleasant Grove, Utah.
And what's your business?
Was a tattoo artist for 32 years. Now I manufacture equipment, and I sell it to chinchilla ranchers and fur farmers all over the country.
Chinchilla ranchers? Well, no wonder you're wearing that little goatee. That's sort of a chinchilla. What are you carrying here?
Here's a write-up we got.
Oh, in the Los Angeles Examiner. It says that this is your daughter?
No. This is my son.
Well, you can't tell in the picture. It's a little boy or a little girl. And that is your wife?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it says here, Dainty Dottie's first. Circus fat lady smiles as her 9-pound, 4.5-ounce son, born in cesarean operation yesterday, voices his objection. Oh, you married a circus fat lady?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll be darned. I guess you met her because you were a circus tattooer?
Well, I met her through... She was also a tattoo artist, and she come to me to buy tattoo supplies.
And how much did she weigh?
Well, she weighed about 585 pounds.
When you fell in love with her? Yeah. Well, you certainly got a lot there, didn't you? Think of all the tattoo territory there was.
I have tattooed her. She's tattooed on her.
She is. Acres and acres, and all mine. Well, tell me, has she reduced any?
Oh, yes. They reduced her a great deal for this operation.
In other words, most ladies gain weight when they're going to have babies. Yours lost.
She lost.
How many pounds did she lose?
Well, I think she lost about 125 pounds.
Oh, Some people here would vanish completely if they lost that many pounds.
If you want some real identification, here it is.
Oh, my goodness. Look at that. Turn around and show the folks. He has tattooed inside his lower lip, where it doesn't show ordinarily, his name, your name. In other words, they will always be able to know who you are.
That's right.
And this is your first child?
My first child.
At the age of 62?
62.
And the circus fat lady?
That's right.
Oh, that's a wonderful story. Believe me, that is an amazing human story. And I see you brought along the birth certificate of the child. Yes. And that proves that a lady who weighs 300 or 400 pounds doesn't have babies that weigh any more than the average baby.
No.
Well, for being today's winner, we have several prizes for you to take home to Mama. A package of Pillsbury white cake mix to keep her weight down. Oh, you use it all the time?
All the time.
Fine. And here's a set of King's Men in gold flagons, the world's finest toiletries for men, for you. And for the baby, a full year's supply of assorted beech nut baby foods, 8 cases full, especially packed in sparkling Duraglass jars for convenient warming and storing. Compliments of Pillsbury. Thank you very much. Oh, isn't that an interesting interview, Jack?
Certainly is, Art.
You know what? I have an idea. I'm going to have Pillsbury tattooed right on your nose. Oh, that's television. We're getting ready for it. Who's our next guest?
Art, over here we have Mrs. Myers, and you better look out because she says she's a mighty good cook.
I'll bet you are. You look like a good cook. Your first name is?
Honor Myers.
Honor. That's a nice name for a lady, isn't it? Where'd that come from?
Oh, my grandmother.
Uh-huh. And you're from where?
Santa Monica.
And originally?
Chicago.
And you're a grandmother yourself?
Right.
How many children did you have?
3.
And how many grandchildren?
2.
How long you been cooking, Honor?
About 30 years.
And can you bake a cake?
Yes, I've baked, but I've had a lot of failures.
Along with the good ones.
That's right.
Who taught you to bake a cake?
Oh, I learned myself, I guess.
You know, your mother didn't teach you as a
No.
little girl? Uh-huh. Didn't they used to stick a straw in cakes?
That's right.
They don't need to do that anymore, do
No.
you? Uh-huh. You say you've had failures, but have you ever tried Pillsbury?
I tried it for the first time last Thursday.
And what happened?
I was amazed to find what a good cake I could make.
Without going to all the trouble
That's
that you
true.
had. Well, of course, if you've been cooking for how many years?
30.
30 years, that's quite a switch for a lady. 30 years one way, and then you switch to a new way. And I hope that our listening ladies will take your advice, and I'm delighted to know that this is a true story from you, Honor. You live with your husband, or?
I'm a widow.
You're a widow now, so you don't make too many cakes.
Oh, yes, I do.
You do? For the neighbor kids?
No, for my daughters.
Good, good. I think it's important that no matter how long you've been cooking, you have an open mind about trying something new. And if you ladies have never tried Pillsbury chocolate fudge cake mix, I wish you would. All you have to do, and you check me on this, Honor, you just add milk. Isn't that right?
That's right.
You can't miss. Your results are perfect every time. And, of course, the same is true of Pillsbury white cake mix. Now, we want you to have a package of each, Mrs. Myers, and for being our guest today, a beautiful twin waffle iron to take home. Compliments of Pillsbury. Goodbye.
And now Art Linkletter talks to our 5, 9 to 11-year-old school children who were brought here in a Tanner limousine from the Virginia Road School.
The what school is that, Virginia?
Virginia Road.
Oh, that's a public school, isn't it, Gary?
Yes.
My, you're a handsome-looking fellow. Stand up here and let me see how tall you are. You're how old, Gary?
I'm 11 years old.
What's your whole name?
Gary Judas.
Now, you have one of these trick haircuts where you comb it back at a pompadour and then suddenly switch it over in a sort of a ducktail. Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it's pretty fancy. What are you aiming to be when you grow up, Gary?
I'd like to be an actor on television, an impersonator.
Oh, uh-huh. Well, that's quite good for a boy of your size because by the time you're my age, we'll really have television, you think?
Yes.
Well, who can you impersonate anybody?
Yes, I can impersonate Peter Lorre.
Well, let me hear a little of Peter Lorre.
I am going to kill you. I will take off your head and throw it in your face.
Well, I think that's a good start. It's a nice, pleasant outlook on life. Do you have any other impersonations?
Yes, I can impersonate Humphrey Bogart.
Well, let me hear Humphrey Bogart.
All right, Lloyd, come out of that bathroom and come clean.
That's Humphrey Bogart as a child. Who else do you have?
Jimmy Stewart I can impersonate.
Well, let me hear a little of Jimmy Stewart.
When I was a boy, my mother said crime wouldn't pay. Yeah, at least as much as it used to. Yeah. I don't know what the word fair means. Say, yeah.
I think that Edward G. Robinson was passing there, right in the middle, and said hello to Jimmy. Thank you, Gary. I think you're a fine actor. And Rhoda, what's your whole name?
Rhoda Corba.
Rhoda Corba. And I knew a girl once whose last name was Stump, and they called her Rhoda. That's the absolute Rhoda Stump. But you're Rhoda Corba. And how old are you, Rhoda?
10.
I'll bet you're a lot of help around the house, huh? You are? Don't you ever fix anything or do anything?
Yeah, sometimes.
What do you fix?
Oh, just any old thing.
Any old thing around the house. It looks like it needs fixing, huh? What does your daddy and mother do, Rhoda?
Well, my father's a painter and my mother's a housewife.
Your father's a painter. What sort of things does he do? Portraits?
No, he paints houses.
Oh. Well, Rhoda, what do you like to do best?
Well, I just like to make new friends.
Well, I think that's a wonderful thing to make new friends. If you make lots of friends in your lifetime, you're going to be a very, very rich girl. You know what that means?
No.
Well, that means that friendship is really much more to be desired than money, and you'll be rich in friends. And Rhoda, what do you think you'll be? What do you want to be when you grow up?
I just want to get married.
That's all. Just want to get married. What kind of a man do you have in mind, Rhoda?
Oh, well, see, I'm short, and I want a man that won't call me shirt stuff and peanuts.
I think that's a reasonable request, that your husband not call you short stuff or peanuts. Anybody around here call you short stuff or peanuts?
Jerry Judas and Eddie Abraham.
Gary. Gary. Do you call her short stuff?
No.
Do you call her peanuts?
No.
What do you call her?
A lot of names.
But not those two. Well, you don't marry him then, will you, Rhoda?
No.
All right. He says so, too. Hello, young man. You stand up here. Since we have big boys and girls today, instead of sitting down, I'll talk to you while you're standing up. You're Mr. Who?
Robert Del Campo.
Uh-huh. Robert, I understand you're a businessman.
Yes, I sell papers at Crenshaw in Washington.
That's a very busy corner, and you're there every morning or afternoon or when?
No, I start selling at 4 o'clock and I end at 6:15.
Yeah, well, you know that this is an advertising plug that you're getting on the radio right now?
Yes.
You know what this time is worth coast to coast?
No.
You just talked there for about 20 seconds. That will cost you $890.
That much?
Yeah, how much do you make a week?
$5.
Well, maybe we better take a percentage for the next 10 years. What paper do you sell, Robert?
The Mirror.
Uh-huh. How does it sell these days?
Not too good.
How many do you sell between 4 and 6:30?
Around 15.
15 papers?
Yeah.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Well, how much do you make per paper?
I don't. I make $1 a night guaranteed.
Oh, uh-huh. And do you get any tips?
Yes, sometimes.
Who tips, the men or the women?
The men.
Oh, how does it happen that the women don't tip?
Because they have the nickel.
Oh. And the men have extra change, huh?
Yeah.
Well, the Mirror is a mighty fine paper, and I'll bet you're a mighty fine businessman, Robert. What do you do with the money you make, the $5 a week?
I usually buy stuff.
What do you buy, for instance? You got anything that you can show us that you bought?
Yeah, this coat,
How much the coat cost?
$10.
Well, that's pretty darn good. I bet you shop for it yourself, too, huh?
No, I went with my mom and my dad.
Oh, they picked it out and you paid for it.
Yeah.
Oh, brother. Okay, Robert, he's a fine young businessman. I think he deserves a lot of credit. Would you stand up? What is your name, honey?
Janice Wells.
And Janice, how old are you?
10.
What does your daddy do?
Well, he works in the good humor business.
Oh, your dad's a good humor man.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet I know what you like to eat, huh? Ice cream?
Yes.
What's your favorite ice cream?
Sherbet.
Oh. Favorite ice cream is sherbet. Well, what flavor, I mean, huh?
Orange and vanilla.
Oh. What do you think you'll be, Janice? A good humor woman?
No, I don't want to be that.
What do you want to be?
I'm going to be an actress or a singer.
Oh, an actress? Can you act?
Yes.
Well, we'll give you an audition. What do you want to do? Do a couple of dramatic lines for us.
Oh, how come you leave me when I love you so?
That's enough. How can you leave me, huh? Believe me, I won't leave you, honey. Well, here's another. How'd you like that acting, huh?
Oh, it was okay.
She put a lot of heart in that, didn't she? I think she was looking at you when she said that. What's your name?
My name's Rolf Polishar.
Who?
Rolf Polishar.
Polishar. What kind of a name is that?
I don't know. I got mixed up there somewhere.
Everybody ought to know where his name. Where'd you come from, anyway?
The hospital.
I mean, your family. That must be a name from Middle Europe somewhere, huh? How about the first name? R-A-U-L-F. That's
My dad took that out of the alphabet.
You mean he just picked letters out of the alphabet at random?
Yeah.
Well, you might have been named Scrooge. He got the wrong ones. What do you like to do best?
Thinking with radio.
You have a radio?
I got a lot of radio.
Maybe you'll turn out to be a radio engineer. Would you like to be that?
Yes.
I'll have you meet our engineer right after we're off the show, and maybe you'll change your mind. Good luck to you, Ralph, and all of the 5 youngsters who are today. We want you to take back to your public school with you a table model radio for the classmates to enjoy, a table model radio from Stromberg Carlson, makers of the finest in television, and for each of you, a sensational new Whittaker-made Pixie camera with color film. Compliments of Pillsbury. Goodbye, kids.
You know, Art, ever since we got our new sponsor, Pillsbury, I've been in for an awful ribbing.
How's that, Jack? How's that?
Well, every time you talk about how easy it is to make a cake with Pillsbury cake mix, you say, why, even Jack Slattery can make one.
Well, what about it?
Well, it makes me look as though I were incompetent or something. So right now, I'm going to mix up a Pillsbury white cake, and I'm going to do it blindfolded.
Blindfolded?
Watch
Watch this, ladies and gentlemen. Bring on the blindfold. Put the apron over him, and Marty, give him the blindfold. Now he's walking back towards the table. Jack Slattery is about to mix a cake blindfolded. Now you got the tabletop in mind, have you, Jack?
I'm ready.
All right, what are you going to do first?
Well, all I do is reach for the Pillsbury white cake mix and pour it into the bowl here.
He's pouring it right in the bowl.
And I reach for the milk, and I measure out, I think that's a cup, isn't it? Yeah, I measure
You're
out
pouring it down the front of my coat.
Sorry, old man.
That's good.
I measure out a cup of milk. I pour half of the milk into the bowl. I reach for the spoon, stir it up, and I'm on my way to a wonderful white cake.
How do you like that? He's making a cake blindfolded, ladies, and that proves it that Jack Slattery could even mix up a Pillsbury white cake. But what's more, he can do it blindfolded, and so can you. Of course, you don't have to get a cake that's so tender and so moist. It's the kind of cake that'll have folks talking behind your back, asking how come you can turn out such a marvelous cake, and what your secret is. So don't do it blindfolded. Don't do it Jack Slattery. But try Pillsbury white cake mix in your own kitchen. And while you're at it, try Pillsbury chocolate fudge cake mix, too. They're both wonderful.
And now Art Linkletter welcomes a special guest.
Our guest today is a man who has spent his entire life and works every day trying to save you money by teaching the American public how to avoid racketeers and swindlers. The head of the Better Business Bureau activities in these parts, Mr. Bob Sample. Bob? How are you? Well, let's see, Bob. It's been since last spring since we chatted about what the racketeers are trying to foist on the American housewives. What's the newest thing?
Well, the newest thing is called the golden gimmick.
The golden gimmick. Well,
That's
a gimmick,
right.
I know, is any kind of a device, and gold speaks for itself. But what is the golden
Well,
gimmick?
the golden gimmick is a door opener for a lot of salesmen that want to have some tricks to sell the housewives.
What is the gimmick they use?
Well, in this particular thing, they indicate that they are making a survey, or that the housewife will be able to help make a survey frequently. And it spoils a lot of real surveys. A lot of people are interested in helping any kind of a survey for the good of everybody concerned. And so when you find somebody that uses it as a trick to sell people something sometimes that they don't want, or to probably, shall I say, case the house.
Oh, you mean that a man might come to the door and you're anxious to be in the survey, and he asks you when you're at home and when the maid's at home and
right.
so forth. He can find out when you're not there.
When you're not there, so that he can move in if he's so inclined.
Well, do they find out that most women want to be part of surveys?
Yes, they do. They're very interested. Survey seems to be a magic word, and therefore it spoils the real legitimate surveys when they have a lot of phonies operating.
So what should our listeners do when a man comes to the door and says, I want to make a survey?
If they can't show credentials of some real survey, some legitimate survey organization, don't answer any questions. And if they don't show you the credentials, don't give them any information.
Thank you very much, Bob. And now let's go down in the audience. I hope those words of wisdom will save a lot of you listeners from losing money that you don't have to. Now, we're going to ask for some volunteers who have questions for Bob Sample about things that they might have run across in their own life. And I see a sergeant standing up in the second row. Where are you from, Sergeant?
I'm from South Dakota. I live in Wilmington now.
And you live in what's your name?
Sergeant John Gleason.
Sergeant John Gleason. What would you like to ask Bob?
I've got a question here. I have received several offers for my oldest daughter, which is 2, to try out for television. I'd like to know what kind of racket that is.
You have a daughter 2 years of age, and people want to get her into television.
Yes.
What about that, Bob?
Well, that's the old counselor racket, where they tell people that they are interested in having their children for television and so forth. Then they get them in to charge them a fee to either have their the child's picture taken, or to come in and get training and so forth. And usually they have no connections whatever with any legitimate television organization or anything of that kind. Better save your money.
Your chances of his child getting into television would be about 1 in 1,000?
Well, that's a high percentage. I mean, it would probably be more like 1 in 2,500, because they seldom ever get in that fashion.
Sergeant, I hope we've saved you a lot of trouble and some expense.
Thank you very
Pick
much.
out a number from 1 to 100.
$99.
99. Well, that may win you something. Let's see. Here's another volunteer, a lady who's come up here. Her name is Mrs.
J. Durr,
From where?
Los Angeles.
What would you like to ask Mr. Sample?
Would you recommend a Lonely Hearts Club for a way to meet new men friends?
A Lonely Hearts Club. Now, that is something that you read about in papers and you hear about all over the United States. Would you recommend that as a way for a lonely woman to meet a lonely man?
I certainly would not recommend it, because there have been times when people have been swindled out of money as a result of that type of organization.
In other words, while you can't prove it always on the...
Yeah, you can't always prove it, but nevertheless, they sometimes use that as a means to get the confidence of the person interested and then fleece them of any money that they may have.
It's not against the law for a Lonely Hearts Club to operate.
Well, it all depends. You have to prove a lot before you can prove that it is a violation of the law, but it just isn't a good idea to meet people in that fashion.
In other words, you folks in the Better Business Bureau would like to uproot them, but it's pretty hard to get rid of them.
Well, that's right. That's right.
Is that good enough advice for you?
Very fine, thank you.
You pick a number from 1 to 100.
55.
Thank you very much. Let's get a man over here on the left side. His name is Mr.?
John Durker.
Where are you from, John?
Monterey.
What do you do?
I'm a naval officer.
A naval officer in civilian suit today. What would you like to ask Mr. Sample?
Well, I've received numerous material through the mail, insurance material, and it's been from out-of-state companies. Is this legitimate business?
They want to get your life insurance?
Yes, sir.
By mail?
Yes, sir.
Oh, what about that, Bob?
The only thing I can do there is caution you to deal with an insurance company that is licensed to do business in the state where you live, because frequently if you do buy mail order insurance, you may have to travel many, many miles to another state to collect any claim you may have, because if they are not licensed to do business in this state, they don't need to answer any suits that there may come as a result of your situation. So in order to do it, you have to go back to the state where they are located.
Causing you a lot of expense and inconvenience.
Probably more expense than you'll collect.
How's that, Lieutenant?
Fine.
Is it Lieutenant?
Lieutenant Commander.
All right, sir. And you pick a number from 1 to 100.
23.
23. We have time for one more quickie. Let's go over to the other side, the man in the green pants. Your name is?
Andrew Fair.
Where are you from, Andy?
Washington, D.C.
And what do you do?
Well, I'm going to be a student.
You're going to be a student.
Yeah.
Well, what's your question?
Well, I was wondering whether the regulations in connection with rental fees to be paid to a real estate company in...
Renting a house?
Yes, with their
In other words, you're a new arrival out here.
That's right.
Are there rules, Bob?
Well, there are not definitely any rules. Usually these outfits charge a fee, and they will put it on the basis of perhaps $10 now and $25 additional if they find you something. Now, the $10 is not refundable. So if they don't find you anything, you're out $10. They do just enough to make it possible to collect that make it legal to collect that $10, and then you may still be out of the house and out the 10 too.
In other words, you shouldn't pay till you get something.
That's a good idea.
That's good advice. You pick a number from 1 to 100.
13.
What's the lucky number today, Jackson?
All right, our number is 4, and Andrew Fair was closest with 13.
Stay right up here, Andy. You've won for yourself a new house. Oh, no, wait a minute. Your prize is very lovely. It's an Evans Showcase, an ensemble of table lighters, one for every room in the house, 2 of the new sensational Evans automatic pocket lighters, all in a beautiful velvet-lined walnut case. Compliments of Pillsbury. And thank you, Bob Sample, for being our guest of honor today.
And now, listen to this.
You know, one good way for you gals to make a hit at home is to dress up the dining room table with warm, fragrant, homemade rolls fresh out of the oven. Now, I know it used to take a lot of work and experience to bake good rolls, but no longer. Where's that little blue and white package, fellas? Hold it up, will you, please? It says Pillsbury Hot Roll Mix on it. You'll find this on your grocer's shelves, and believe me, the finest homemade rolls you've ever tasted are in there. All the dry ingredients are in a package of Pillsbury Hot Roll Mix, and even a special protective packet of lively, high-vitality yeast to give you perfect results every time. To make the dough, you just add water to the yeast, stir in the mix, and it's that simple. The rolls, well, I've never eaten rolls more delicious. So take my advice, gals, get yourself a package of Pillsbury Hot Roll Mix today. Well, looks like our time has gone by here. I had some other things in mind, but we'll be back on the air tomorrow giving a deserving singer his first break in radio. Until then, this is Art Linkletter saying goodbye from Pillsbury.
Transcribed from Hollywood, this is the John Goodell production. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.